we are in this severe housing crisis. They don't build enough accommodations, rental accommodation houses in Canada. That crisis is, mark my words, it's going to be the next issue at the next federal election. It's going to be housing. It's a severe crisis, and landlords like you and I benefit from that because that puts downward pressure on vacancies and upward pressure on rents. So, finally.
So yeah, 100%. And my worry about that being a political issue is always that the solution for one side is going to be rent control. And I think that does the exact opposite of what it needs to, but it buys votes. And you see, there's a party in Alberta that already has had lots of meetings about this. They'll have all these Zoom calls and stuff talking about rent control, even though like a huge portion of we are affordable. We're the most affordable place you can live, essentially.
With the high salaries in Canada, by the way, right? You know that.
Yeah. So the only reason, in my opinion, we have that is we have the supply. People want to develop here because it's very easy to develop and there isn't rent controls. So you have the upside. I obviously, I don't think rent controls help, but that would be, I don't know if that's a concern of yours. But
it sure is. And unfortunately that the Neo-Democratic Party in Alberta is high in the polls. So I am definitely concerned about that. But there's not much that's outside our scope of influence. But as you said, rent controls don't work. It's a fact that's been researched somehow, but the politicians want to appear to be doing something. To be honest with you, Shane, to your listeners watching, you just look at BC and look at Ontario, just to pick two examples, where the housing crisis is the most severe. They have very tight, stringent rent controls. That's a case in point to show that it does not work because landlords like us, I'm not one of those. You're not either. I know you enough to say that. I put money, I upgrade my units and all of that. But when your expenses cannot match, for example, right now, the inflation rate, a lot of landlords, and that's the case in older housing stock, namely Ontario, I have in mind, where the owners, the landlords, don't put money back into their units, so they're decrepit, and developers are not inclined to build more because you're limited. So it's not an issue of how much we charge in rents. It's purely an issue of supply. It's the lack of supply, and the incentives are not in place. That's a problem I follow I can go as far as you want if you want in terms of my analysis there, or as little, but I'm strongly opinionated. And like I said, it's a significant crisis in our generation, this housing crisis.